In this story, I found out that I've lost crucial parts of my memory and was deceived by those around me. This feeling of betrayal is both infuriating and shocking. Chapter 23. Call me whatever you want. I couldn't care less, he said angrily with his cold voice and then stormed out. His cold demeanor was back. Sam looked at me angrily and I knew that there was a lot of things he wanted to tell me. He shouldn't have compelled me to tell you. Some things are better left unknown, he said, then walked out. I still don't get why they are mad at me. I was the one who lost a vital part of my memory, or better still had it wiped out, but they turned the cards on me, making me seem like the bad one. I had every right to be mad at Sam. He was the only person I told a lot of things, and he didn't deem it necessary to tell me about Damon. I feel like a fool. When I thought that we were both finally managing to get along, this comes up. If he can lie to me with something as important as his name, then there was nothing he couldn't lie about. I walked in to join all of them, and when I got there, Damon and Sam just walked out. What's wrong? Vulcan asked, and I just ignored him, not knowing what to say. My mate lied to me about his name, or my best friend has been lying to me all this while and even wiped out my memory. The day began on a fairly good note. I don't see it being like that anytime soon. Take your bags. We leave now, Sam said, taking his and walking away, and so did Damon. What happened with when you guys were out? Jonathan asked. I don't want to talk about it, I said, then walked away too. The last thing I want to do is telling someone about it. I still didn't know why wiping my memory was necessary. I didn't even figure out how to shift to a wolf, and I couldn't ask Sam anytime soon cause of the situation we were in, and I doubt if he'd even tell me when we were on talking terms. You're overthinking, Vulcan said, and I turned to look at him. Relax. I wanted to snap at him, but I simply chose to keep my mouth shut. I'm not telling you to tell me about it. I'm just telling you to not think about it. Whatever you are thinking about is bringing a frown to your face, and let's just say you look less beautiful with a frown on your face, so smile. There's nothing to smile about, I said smugly. No. There's every reason to smile, he said, and I just nodded, wanting the topic to drop. So what do you plan on doing after finding your mate? Take her back to the palace with me and make her my queen. That sounds cool. Being royalty, I said, and he just shrugged. Nah, it's nothing cool. There are a lot of do's and don'ts, he replied. I can imagine, I said, and he just nodded. What if you don't find your mate? I will. We're not done with this trip yet, are we? She could be a witch. Is that okay in the vampire kingdom? If it isn't, they'd have to make do with it. She's my mate, and that's all that matters. I don't care what the society has to say. You quite have a way with words. I'm sure she'd be happy being with you. Unlike the way I am now, I hope so, he said with a smile. We finally stopped when we got to a river. It was so calm, but I remember Sam calling it feisty. The goal is to get to the other side no matter what. If you don't make it, you belong to the water goddess. Sam said, how won't we make it? Look at the water, dude. It's as peaceful as. See you on the other side, Sam said, doing us the favor of carrying our bags before he started walking on the stones and successfully got to the other side. But when it was our turn to, a force pushed us off it, with us landing in the water, and now it looked nothing but calm. Aside from Sam, every one of us was thrown into the river, battling to reach the surface. What the hell is wrong with this river? Vulcan asked angrily. We struggled and struggled to appear on the surface, but when it seems like we have a chance, we'd be drawn back under, like a force was controlling it. It was extremely difficult trying to breathe underwater. I found myself gasping for breath every time. I don't know how, but Damon managed to get out, leaving Vulcan, Jonathan, and I. It was getting worse. The force was pulling us deeper into the water, causing us to shake our legs violently, trying to get out of its grasp, but it just got worse. The more we try fighting it, the harder it becomes. It even got to the point that Jonathan got tired, stopped fighting it, and he went deeper into the water, getting lost in it, and when I finally managed to get my head out of the water, I saw Jonathan on the other side. Vulcan figured it out, leaving just me in there. I was panicking. I didn't want to die here. I was left alone, and I could be killed in the water. I struggled frantically to get out of the water, but all to no avail. I came up breathing for air, and as I tried swimming towards the direction of the bank, the force pulled me down again. I'd have screamed, but that wasn't possible. Something was in the water, and it was out to get me. I came up again panting, trying to get enough oxygen in my lungs, but the force pulled me in again, wrapping my leg, causing me to wiggle them free violently. It was stupid struggling with something I couldn't see, trying to break free from its grip. Is this supposed to be happening? She has been there for more than 30 minutes. 𝐷𝐸 said, and I could feel the panic in his voice. I couldn't care less, seriously. What was he doing now? Finally, I gave up. If the thing was going to take me, it should. I was done fighting something I couldn't see like a fool. If I couldn't see it, it couldn't be real. It was just a figment of my imagination. Upon discovering that, I was able to get out of the water successfully, and after that it didn't drag me down again. I was finally with the others. Once with them, I let out a loud sigh. That is something I don't want to go through again. My whole body was wet. I had lost my beanie in the water and my hair was dripping wet, and I totally hated being wet. This day just keeps on getting worse. We continued the rest of the journey in silence until we reached our next stop. It was pretty dark already, maybe 7 or 8. So what happens next? Jonathan asked. We had stopped, but it didn't seem as if it was to get some rest. We find you, a voice replied, and we all turned to look at who it was. It was a very beautiful young girl with fair skin, a very lustful body. Her eyes were simply captivating. I was afraid to look at it for long in case she trapped me in it. Hey handsome, she said, walking towards 𝐷𝐸 and wrapping her hand around his neck, and with that eyes of hers. What is she? 𝐷𝐸 asked, stuttering. She's a nymph. Sam answered, she's beautiful. Jonathan said, looking at her lustfully. Do you think she can be my mate? Vulcan asked. They were love-struck. She just appeared out of nowhere and all of them want her already. That's my mate you're holding there. Do me a favor and get your hands off him. I said politely. He doesn't have a problem with it, does he? She said, trailing her hand down his neckline to his stomach. I haven't even done that and she's doing it. Well, I do. Get your hands off my mate now. I said, angrily, walking towards her when Sam pulled me to him, and she laughed. What can you possibly do to me? She asked, laughing. Even her laugh was breathtaking. Why are we still here, Sam? Let's go. She has to grant us entry. And I know just what I want, she said, grinning widely. Please not 𝐷𝐸. Please not 𝐷𝐸. I want him. Well, you can't have him, I said, and she looked at me. All trace of her being nice was gone. I'm going to have him, even if it means killing all of you, she said, smiling. What do we do? I asked Sam. I can't let her have him. He's mine. That's if he wants you, Sam said, and I looked at him angrily. What do you mean by that? Exactly what you know I mean, he answered, and I just walked away from him. Vulcan and Jonathan had that look as if they were enthralled. That's it. She enchanted them. She's making them want her. I was going to ask her to let him go when I stopped dead in my tracks. What are you doing here? I asked, stuttering. Before she could answer me, I saw myself standing outside my former pack house. Nora and I had us all tied. We couldn't get out no matter how hard we've been trying, and Sam's powers wasn't even working. Laurie, leave her alone. Take us, but just let your sister go. Mom, said Laurie. She asked coldly. You lost the chance of calling me that when I was 5. When you gave birth to this imbecile you call my sister, and you're going to pay. You're going to pay for choosing her over me, in fact for even giving birth to the demon, and you're going to watch me ruin that stupid prophecy. You'd watch as I kill your precious child, then kill you, she said, smiling. You're insane. You're the demon, not her. You're scared, aren't you? You're scared that she'd ruin you. Dad said, and she stabbed him furiously on the stomach. Stop. Please stop. I shouted, crying, but she didn't listen to me. Leave our parents alone. Our parents? You mean your pathetic excuse of a parent? I'd kill all of you. Every single one of you. Let them go. Just take me. I said, crying. Now was the fun in that? I still get you either way, so. She started torturing all of us with anything. She even made the temperature of the room so cold that we were freezing, and we usually had a tolerance to that. She kept on stabbing the dagger in my stomach, and I kept on screaming and crying. She did the same thing to all of us until she got tired of that and got a gun, which she pointed at me. Say goodbye to your beloved daughter, she said, then shot it directly to my heart. I was gasping for breath within seconds. I couldn't survive this. None of us could. Isn't she lovely in red? She pointed the gun at parrots next. I hope you rot in hell for being the worst parents ever, she said, then shot them both where she had shot me now. I screamed with all that I could and sobbed. She didn't even let them say anything to me. She just took them away from me. Why aren't you dead? She asked, pointing the gun at me, and before she pulled the trigger, I disappeared with Sam. Come with me, Lee, my mom said, leading me to her, and I followed. I continued to follow and follow her. Where are we going to, Mum? Where we can be together forever. Your dad's waiting for you, she said, smiling. Dad? I asked, and she smiled. I continued to follow her until we got to a door. Come on, let's go, she said, and just as I was about to enter the door, I took a step back. She's not real. She's not my mom. My parents were dead. I couldn't see them again. I ran away from her until I got to where I was before. The look on their faces was scary. They looked lost, as if they were in a trance, as if their soul had left them. Every single one of them, and I began to panic, screaming, but no one heard me. Was I like that few minutes ago? Damon, listen to me, I said, hitting him, but he didn't move. Look at me, Damon, I said, turning his face to look at me, but he didn't. I did the same thing for everyone, but no one looked at me. They couldn't talk. Look. Nothing. They were lifeless. Chapter 24. Jonathan was the first to come back. He looked disoriented. He turned to look at me, and I gave him a small smile, not knowing what to do. What happened to the rest? He asked. I don't know. You were like that too. What happened to you? It happened to the rest? He asked. I don't know. You were like that too. What happened to you? My worst nightmare. He answered, and there was this sound we heard after that. And what is that? My past. The darkest of them all. I relived it. He answered, so that's what that was. This is crazy. Very. Let's just hope they get out of it. Vulcan was the next to get out of the trance, and he had the same look that Jonathan had. We waited for them to snap out of it, then Sam was next. We've been waiting for the past 30 minutes for Damon to come back, but nothing happened. Could it be that he was trapped there already? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Damon called, frantically panting. He was panting although he was still in a trance. I don't understand why we could hear him. His emotions were definitely stronger. Please don't leave me. Don't leave me. He was uttering the same word he uttered the morning I woke up, and it was not directed at Chi-Chi. It was directed at Arya. Who then was Arya? The question was left hanging in the air. Don't leave me, Arya, he said again. At this rate, if he's not trapped yet, he probably would be. Yay! The nymph shouted excitedly. What? I asked, staring from her to Sam. We can still get him right. No, we can't. She took him to let us move to the next stage of this journey. Sam said. You've got to be kidding me. I'm not leaving him here for anything. Then you die. All of a sudden, roots started appearing from the ground, turning into trees. Live ones. This can't be good. We can talk this out, can't we? Jonathan said. You're very pretty, you know that. Leave our friend for us, 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐷. All the living trees, about 5 in number, turned to look at us. Damon, come back to me, will you? Stay with me, I said, tapping him, trying to see if he'd wake up, but he was long gone. How on earth do we even fight this thing? I turned away from Damon to be faced with one. It was holding a sword in its hand, which it tried to use to strike me, but I dodged. How does a tree get a S? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Couldn't it have gotten something natural? I've been trying to defeat it, but it was futile. It wasn't even affecting it. All my bows and strike. I guess there's no bad in using my powers now. The tree was about striking me when I pushed it away with a strong gust of wind. It looked at me with a raised brow, and I did the same. It attacked me and I kept avoiding attacking it, until I had the perfect moment to strike and burnt it, and since it was wood, it caught fire instantly. Sam and I concentrated in burning it while Jonathan and Vulcan had to dodge being killed. When we had finished burning it all up, 𝐸'Man wasn't still conscious. I got a hold of the nymph and was holding a knife to her throat. Release him, I said, and she just disappeared. I turned around trying to find where she was, but I couldn't see her. It was like she disappeared into thin air at ease until she started hitting me. First it was a cut on my ankle, causing me to fall and hold it in pain. The next was on my stomach. I turned trying to find out where she was, but instead I got a cut on my wrist. I was trying desperately to find her, but she was invisible. I laid my hands on the floor and immediately it started turning to snow. I'd be sure to see her footprints on them. When she came next, I could see her footprints coming towards me, and I started to freeze it from the bottom to the top until she was a frozen statue. Just as I was about to burn it, Sam stopped me and I turned to look at him. She has to release him, remember? Doesn't he get released when she dies? What if she doesn't want to release him, Harland? Where do we find them? Vulcan asked. This particular one lives in the water. Sam answered. Water? I already dreaded water since this morning incident with the river, and I wasn't ready to face another one. Why do we even have to go to all this stress to get to the witch's kingdom? I can see why you don't visit often. This is torture, Jonathan said. And that's why I'm going alone, Sam answered, looking at me like I would jeopardize his plan. Good for us then, I said, and we watched as he walked away. You're not going to follow him? Jonathan asked. Hopefully he's got this, I said, and defrosted the snow till it was the same forest as it was. After waiting for hours, Sam finally showed up with 𝐸'Man, but he still didn't look himself. What's wrong with him? I asked. 𝐶𝐮 said. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐾𝐜𝐵, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐧. We weren't even on talking terms now, Sam said urgently, and I wasted no time in taking his mouth. He didn't respond at first, but after a minute he began to give in, taking control of the kiss. You're here, he said after pulling out of the kiss, looking at me as if I wasn't really there. Yes, I'm here, 𝐸'Man. I'm here, I answered, and he wrapped his arms around me, pulling me into a tight embrace. You didn't leave me. You're here, he said, then gave me a kiss on the forehead. We resumed the journey, finding a place to sleep, and while we walked, 𝐸'Man didn't let go of my hands at all. We finally found a cave to stay, and I entered there, laying a blanket there. Whatever happened to 𝐸'Man, and that was really troubling him. It brought up memories that he had probably buried. Stay with me. Don't leave me, 𝐸'Man said, pulling me to his side as we slept. I'm here, 𝐸'Man. I'm with you, I said, and he smiled. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about the nightmare you had? I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it, he said, and I sighed. I wasn't expecting him to tell me anyway. You would talk about it someday, I asked. Maybe someday. Go to sleep, princess, he said, kissing my forehead. You too. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐾𝐜𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐧. He pulled me closer to him, that there was no space between us, and I rested my head on his chest and he stroked my hair until I fell asleep. The next morning we woke up and continued our. It was getting longer, and I hope we get there sooner than later. We left there and continued our journey. Sam and I didn't talk much, but at least 𝐸'Man was talking to me, even if he didn't say much. Jonathan was trying to make the place lively by involving us all in a debate, but when it started getting into an heated argument between Vulcan and 𝐸'Man, it ended. Then Jonathan resolved to saying jokes to lighten the mood, but didn't work. Not saying a word, and the silence was too much. I was exhausted and hungry. How much more do we have to walk before getting there? We're here, Sam spoke up, and we all turned to look around us. It was an empty, vast area. We were staring at nothing, and it was supposed to be our destination. So how long would it take to get to the witch's house? 𝐸'Man asked. You're looking at it, Sam answered. Is this some kind of joke? Was her house burnt to the ground or something? Jonathan asked angrily. Don't tell me this journey was for nothing, cause I don't know what I'm going to do to someone, Vulcan said angrily. Everyone was angry that our journey was all for nothing and a waste of time, while Sam just looked at us saying nothing. Would you all just keep quiet? Sam shouted, and we all did, wanting to hear what he has to say for himself. You should have let me explain before jumping into silly conclusions. You can't see the house cause it's protected by a spell, so I'd have to cast a spell before it comes to view. Well, no one thought of that. I kinda felt a little bit stupid. I should have guessed that was the case, but I didn't. Nobody did. We all stood in silence and watched Sam cast the spell until the house came into view. After casting it, he just walked inside, not saying a word, and we just followed. The house was small, but at least it looked like it could contain all of us. It looked welcoming and homely, like a normal human being house. I was half expecting to find her making some kind of poisonous soup or doing something out of the ordinary. Instead, she was just watching TV. Weird. How does she even get signal and all, considering the environment? Sam, long time no see, she said, turning to look at us. I see you brought your friends. Not dangerous, I hope. They're all good, Hilda, Sam said, and she nodded. What brings you here? She asked after the introduction. She's under a spell. Black magic, and we were hoping you could help break it. Okay, but we do it tomorrow. I've had a long day, I need to rest, you all should too. There are 2 empty rooms by the left, she said, and entered a room that was obviously hers. So how sleeping arrangement's going to be? Jonathan asked. I'm hungry. I whined, and everyone turned to look at me. I'd stay up in the living room. You all can take the room, Vulcan answered, and that was how I was ignored. Seems like you would be sleeping with me again, Raina, Damon said, and I just nodded. But I'm hungry, I whined, and no one even looked in my direction. I wasn't liking this at all. There's food in the fridge, Hilda said, coming out of the room with clothes, and she handed to me. Thank you. At least someone listens to me. I said it. She smiled, and that was when I realized that she's pretty. She had long black hair with pitch black eyes. Her face was somewhat oval and her nose pointed, but what I noticed most was her lips. They were so red. Before I could come up with crazy things that she did for them to be that red, she pulled me to the kitchen and laid the food on the table. The guys were still in the living room, leaving just me and her, and I was slightly scared. She could murder me and make a stew with my body parts and then grind my bones till they are smooth and use them to some ingredient to solve one of people's numerous problems. She was looking at me intently, and I guess she was already going over her plans or reading my future or my mind. You are pretty, she said, and I just looked at her, totally surprised and confused. Thanks, I guess, I said, and she nodded. You have to be careful. Someone wants what you have and would stop at nothing to get what they want. Now I was scared and confused. What could I possibly have that someone wants? Who and what does the person want? I asked, and she just totally ignored me. You should rest. I figure it wasn't a smooth journey, she said, then went out to the living room, and I just ate the food, not worrying too much about what she said. It must probably be law and day. It's nothing new. After eating, I went to the room to find Damon just getting out of the bathroom, shirtless, wearing just shorts and Goshi's body. Don't worry, Raina. It's all yours, he said with a smirk, and laid down, and because I had nothing to say, I just got into the bathroom and did all the necessary things that had to be done. I came out of the bathroom wearing the cloth she had given me, which was a nightgown, and I was pretty uncomfortable with it, but I was glad it wasn't exposing anything. It wasn't red or white. It was thankfully black. I laid down beside him, ready to sleep. Thank goodness we were already here. I could get the spell broken, and a small part of this would be over. I turned to look at Damon, who was closing his eyes but not at sleep. This was the perfect time to do what I've wanted to do. Look at his body for as long as I want. His body was magnificent, like it was sculptured to perfection. His muscles and pecs were just mind-blowing, and I could stay up all night looking at him. He seemed to have various tattoos around his body. They were mostly written in languages I couldn't read or understand, and I looked at them closely. Some seemed to have been hiding scars, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Everyone has scars. He hid his behind his tattoo. I was about taking my eyes off him, but noticed another one. It was not a writing, it was a crescent moon shape. Looking closely at it, it didn't seem as if it was a tattoo. It looked like a birthmark, and not just anyone had birthmarks like that. Chapter 25. Okay, let's get this done with, I said as Hildy ushered me to her private area where she helped people with her magic, and I was kinda scared, not knowing what to expect. Would it be easy to get rid of? Would it really be gone? Everything's gonna be fine. You'd finally be free from her now, Jonathan said reassuringly, and I just nodded, not me what else to say. If I get rid of her now, there's every guarantee that she'd find another way to make my life hell. It's gonna be okay, me Raina. Don't think too much about it, Damon said, giving my hand a tiny squeeze, probably to reassure me, but if anything it just made my heart race more than it was already. Now boys. Get out of here, I have to do my job, Hilda said, kicking them out. Good luck, Lee. You're going to need it, Sam said as he walked out. His words made me more scared. Vulcan gave me a thumbs up. Jonathan just smiled, and Damon gave me a kiss on the forehead, telling me everything would be all right. I just hoped so, and that this wasn't going to be the last time with them. Now that they are all out, may we begin? Sure. What do I do? I asked, and she directed me to lay down on a bed while she got ready. So what are you going to do? I thought it was just to get a protective amulet or something. Yours is more than that. You'd have to do this on your own. I just help you in any way I can. I could tell that my mouth was open and my jaw was nearly reaching the ground. What do you mean I get to do it on my own? I don't even know what to do. I could die. Don't worry, it won't come to that. She said it won't come to that. That means things are bound to get nasty. I said, listen. Calm down, okay? Everything's going to be fine, she said, and I just nodded. I hope she wasn't trying to calm me down by saying that. Okay, so let's get started, she said, lighting candles and burning incense. Close your eyes. I did as I was told and closed my eyes. Don't think about anything and concentrate on that. I closed my eyes and she continued casting her spell, and I was trying hard not to think about anything. Your main aim should be to burn all the dolls, Hilda said. I was about to ask how and why, but I saw in a dark room. I looked closely and spotted the 2 dolls. This should be easy, just to burn the dolls right. I stretched my hand to use fire to burn it, but before I could continue I was pushed to the wall by an invisible force. Can't something in my life be easy? What a pleasure to meet you, sister. The voice I always had to hear. The one and only 𝐊𝐤𝐽. She stepped out of the shadows with a smile on her face. This isn't fair. Can't she just let me get away with this? I think she's tormented me enough. The pleasure is all mine, sister, I said, smiling. So to what I owe this visit? She asked, smiling. I get to kill you today, so thanks for coming to me. What exactly do you have against me? Seriously, I don't see why she hates me. I don't plan on killing her. I don't give a damn about the prophecy if she exists to me. I can't even begin to list it, she said, using the wind element to push me back. Or because you have nothing to list, I said, using the water element to push her backward, and she laughed. For someone that is destined to kill me, you suck at fighting, she said, throwing a fireball at which I dodged. For someone who had that power and is presumed to be great, you suck at aiming, I said, perfectly hitting her with a strong wind, throwing her across the room. I'd watch my mouth if I were you, she said, continuing to throw fireballs at me that I successfully dodged or quenched with water. I think I'm the one that's supposed to tell you that. I'm not the one who is doomed to be destroyed, or am I? I said, throwing her fireballs which she dodged. I hate you. You're just a mistake, she said, going to the door and stabbing it with a knife on the stomach, causing me to let out a loud scream and my stomach to bleed. You know what? You're just a coward. Why don't you just face me? And you aren't I. I just want to watch you screaming while I do this, she said, stabbing my shoulder, and I let scream. You have no idea how much satisfaction I'm getting from this, she said, then started throwing the doll around, causing me to hit my head against one wall or another one object. You're so pathetic. I'm going to correct the mistake of you being born by killing you, she said angrily. My body was aching me so much. How could she do this to me? It didn't help that I was in pain and was already bleeding from the stabs. She didn't seem to mind at all. I stretched my hands aiming for the doll to burn it, but before it reached the doll she dragged the doll, making me miss my target and flying across the room till I hit the wall. I let out a loud scream. My head was really aching me. I won't be surprised if my brain comes out with all the hit. Some people say the brain looks like a macaroni or shredded rice. Maybe I will be finding out soon, but let me not think of that right now. I still don't know what you're getting from doing this. The satisfaction of seeing you hurt, of watching you being your usual weak self. She shouted angrily and I decided to try again, but I ended up burning the table. You're never going to be free from me, 𝐿𝐤, she said. I will be free from you, 𝐿𝐤. I said only when you're dead. She said, smirking. And seeing the way you are now, it's not far from now. Don't be so sure. To my 𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐿 𝐿𝐤, hearts out saints who are unsailing 𝐃𝐐𝐴𝐬𝐧. Oh, I am sure, she said, taking a coal from the fire and placing it on the area of my stomach that she stabbed, causing me to let a scream. It was burning me, especially since it was on the wound, and I couldn't help but continue screaming, 𝐿𝐤. You're never going to be free from me, 𝐿𝐤. Never. At this point I felt like I was going to die. I was hurting all around and I couldn't do anything to stop it. I continued to scream as the heat of the coal was going to the wound. I didn't even know when tears started slipping from my eyes. I didn't want to appear weak. Crying wasn't something I wanted to do now, but I couldn't help it. The pain is so excruciating. Wow, is that tears I see? My little sister that's meant to hurt me is crying because I'm hurting her, she said, laughing. She continued to do it and I kept screaming. Please. Stop. Oh, but I haven't even started yet, she said with a smirk, and I tried burning the door again, but failed, causing her to laugh. I let out a loud scream and stretched out my hands, bringing out the fire, and directed it towards the door, and this time I burnt it. The type of joy and relief that was surging through me knew no bound. I was free from her, at least for now. She shouted, giving me her signature glare. I used a strong wind pushing her to the ground, and just as she was about to stand up, I quickly threw a dagger that was in my boots at her stomach and used the wind to push her with a strong force until she hit her head strongly against wall. When I wanted to do something to 𝐿𝐤, at least hurt her, 𝐿𝐤's daemon's POV. We are outside the room waiting for 𝐿𝐤 to do whatever she wanted to do to deliver 𝐿𝐤 from the bondage she was in. I hate it when it happens to her and I have no idea what to do. It made me feel helpless and useless. I couldn't even protect her. After waiting outside for like 5 minutes, I began to hear her screaming. 𝐿𝐤 was probably hurting her. I wanted to be there with her. To be there for her. I couldn't run outside, and so I barged in. 𝐿𝐤 looked at me with a look of annoyance, probably for disturbing her, but I didn't mind. 𝐿𝐤 was hurting. I went to where she laid and held her hand. Her face wasn't peaceful or calm like it always was, and then she had started screaming loudly. I wonder what 𝐿𝐤 was doing to her now. She continued screaming, and I don't know what 𝐿𝐤 was doing, if she could still feel the pain. Aren't you supposed to help stop it? Why is she still in pain? I asked angrily. She has to do this on her own. She has to defeat 𝐿𝐤. You're kidding me. What can she probably do to defeat 𝐿𝐤? Look at the state she's in currently. What is she supposed to do? There was a lot of burns on her stomach and a deep cut. She also had a cut on her shoulder, and this was the ones that we could see. I'm sure she'd have been throwing her around. Calm down, she's a strong girl. She'd get through it. Tears started slipping from her eyes, and it broke me to see her that way. I slowly began to wipe the tears away. I don't even want to know what she's going through 𝐿𝐤 now, cause whatever it is, it's really hurting her to cry. I hate that I can't do anything to protect her from what she's going through, and it just annoys me a lot and makes me feel useless. I just want to hold her in my arms and protect her from everything and everyone, including myself. Her eyes sprang open, and I pulled her into a hug, and she flinched, and I looked at her. Her stomach was filled with lots of scars and cuts. She was also bleeding, and her shoulder too, but her stomach was in a really bad condition. She continued to cry, and I just held her in my arms, stroking her hair. I don't know what to say to her. The last time something like this happened, I said something that pissed her off, but now I was going to say little or no words. I don't want to do anything that would push her away from me. I just hope that this small gesture will be enough for her. Her face was buried in my chest, and I just continued to pat and stroke her hair, and occasionally telling her that everything was okay now. She stopped crying, and her eyes were red and puffy. You're going to be fine now, okay? I'm here for you, I said, and for a second I was expecting her to laugh and throw it in my face, but instead she just smiled and hugged me. Thanks for being here. You didn't have to come with me, but you did. I'm still surprised as to why you came, but I'm glad you did. I came because I wanted to be here. To be here for you, and you don't have to thank me for anything, cause I always want to be here for you, 𝐿𝐤. I said, still hugging her, and she smiled. Chapter 26. The honor was taken away from me by Hilda to be treated. There was blood all around and her cuts were a lot. After it was treated, she fell asleep and I don't think she would be waking up anytime soon. It was the perfect time for me to talk about it with Hilda. No one was around. Just the three of us. I want to talk to you. I started. I knew you'd want to do that. Let's go somewhere private, she said, leading the way to her other special room. What can I do to protect her? After having the talk with Hilda, it just ruined my mood rather than uplifting it. I wanted to do anything to protect her, but what she was asking for was just too much. But I think I'd do it if it means her being safe from me and everything. I went back to the room we shared currently and saw her still sleeping. She looks so beautiful. I can't even begin to describe her. I love her sea blue eyes and hair. I really love her hair. It's so soft and the color is amazing. I still don't get why she has to color it, cause her hair as beautiful as that should be showcased, not hidden. I laid next to her, stroking her hair. I seem to like doing that now. I just wanted a life with her devoid of all the things we're going through. I wanted to make her happy, keep her safe and hold on to her, but all these options were impossible. Hey, she said as she sat upright. How are you feeling? I've seen better days. I'd heal before tomorrow, so I'm okay. And you'd be okay for a while. I said, stroking her hair. I hope so. She said, smiling a little. Thanks for having us here and helping her out. Sam said, yeah. We really appreciate it. I said, thanks a lot, Hilda. I really appreciate your help. Anytime, she said, smiling, and Yana laughed, saying, I'm hoping there wouldn't be a next time. They hugged and all, and when we were about to go, she pulled me back and gave me a bracelet. You should give it to her. It'd help protect her for a while. She said, thanks. I really appreciate everything you've done. To my 𝐿𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐿 𝐷𝐸𝐻𝐿 heartfelt thanks for your unsaying �𝐾𝐻𝐿𝐬𝐩𝐿. Sincerely, I am very grateful. Just protect her, okay? She said, with my life. I said, and she smiled. Come on, Damon, let's go. She shouted, and I nodded at Hilda, giving her a small smile before going to meet her. Thank goodness you're okay now, Jonathan said, hugging her, and I didn't like it at all. I don't like the fact that she's surrounded by guys, especially Jonathan that's also a wolf, and I just hate when she's with Vulcan. That just makes my boil seeing them together. I just hope that's all. I really don't want to go through that again. She said, you won't. I promise, Sam said, and she hugged him. I really couldn't stand seeing them, so I walked ahead of them, thinking of things in my pack. I had left my pack in the hands of my beta, and I was just hoping that everything was okay. Ħeļiona said, walking beside me, and I just turned to look at her. I see you're looking good. I said, and she smiled. I'm just happy that everything is okay for now. Why do you keep on saying for now? She's still out there. She's not going to stop till she's killed me, she answered. She's not going to kill you, okay? I'm not so sure about that. She's probably coming up with something else as we speak. Why is she hell-bent on killing you? The question has been bothering me for a while. Why would one sister want to kill another? She's just scared of the prophecy that says I'd kill her. She answered, that explains it. We talked throughout our walk and I got to know a thing or two about her, and it made me admire her more. We got to a place and decided to rest for a while. I wonder why we couldn't just appear in my pack. It'd make things so much easier. So, where do you guys plan on staying? I really wanted her to stay with me, to be with me every day and night. We'd find a place around. She answered, or you can stay at my place. I offered, hoping that she'd say yes to it. No thanks. Like I said, we'd find a place around. She replied, well, if you change your mind, the offer still stands. I said, and she nodded before walking out. I seriously don't understand why she just outrightly rejected my offer. I wasn't expecting it to, but it hurt that she did. B'Yanna's POV. I can't believe that he offered me a place to stay with him, since I'd been wondering how we were going to survive without a place to stay, but I couldn't just accept his offer nor offer what I went through there. I know no one as pack likes me, especially that Chi-Chi, and I don't want to stay when no one likes me, and I don't even know what Damon thinks about me. He might have offered me a place to stay at his, but he could still avoid me and just continue with his attitude and kissing Chi-Chi, talking her side and all, and I don't want that. Why did you reject his offer? Jonathan asked, sitting beside me on a rock. I just felt like I should. You know how he gets with his mood swings. I don't want him to regret it later. Would you suggested it if he wasn't sure about it? You have to trust the guy a bit. He came all the way here for you. I don't think I'd go through all that for anyone. He cares about you even if he really doesn't show it a lot, but it's that obvious. Don't push him out. What if all the times he pushed me out? I feel like he's going to do it again, Jonathan. I don't know how I'd handle that. You just have to trust that he wouldn't. If you keep on doubting and pushing him out, I don't think anything can happen with you guys. You have to open up to him and trust him, Lee. I don't know, but I try, I said, and he hugged me. You're lucky to have found your mate. Don't do things that you'd regret later. I hope I won't, I said, and he said the same thing too. So how do I tell him I accept his offer? Simple. Just tell him, Jonathan said, and I sighed, hoping that the offer still stands. We went back to where everyone was and we continued our journey, and just when we reached a path, some creatures started coming out of the ground and we started running. Well, I did. The creatures were, I don't even know how to explain it. It looked like a worm, but it was as big and long as a normal snake and it had fangs. I don't want to know what it can do with that. What the hell is that? I asked, screaming. It's an ancient creature. It's created with dark magic with the sole aim of killing the person it was told to. Sam answered, please don't tell me it is me. I said, already getting tired of all the chase. He didn't even have to answer me because they started coming in my direction, and I started screaming and running. Stop running, Lee, Sam shouted, and I stood still. I was hoping that they'd also stop as I did, but no, they didn't. If anything, they increased their pace. Can I continue running, or? Sam didn't even answer, so I ran. I kept running around in circles, hoping they'd leave me alone. After some time I got tired and had to stop to catch my breath, and I didn't even realize I was surrounded until it was too late. I used my powers, fire to be precise, to burn it and imagine my joy when it doesn't affect it. I tried freezing it, but it didn't affect it either. What the hell? Why isn't it affecting it? I asked, already panicking. They could kill me. All 5 of them. Sam tried also, and I was thinking it would work out because he was a wizard, but it didn't, and the most annoying thing was that I was at a dead end. I can't believe I am going to die like this. Being bitten by a creature that I don't even know its name. Not that I cared anyway. What are we going to do? We have to get her out of there, Damon and Jonathan said. It was times like this I wished I was able to fly. I took out my arrow and bow and started shooting them, but they still didn't die. It only slowed them down for a while, and before I knew it they were close to me again. Sam started using his powers to lift me up in the air until I was where he stood, coming towards me again, and I wanted to cry out of frustration. What do we do now? I asked. You just have to make sure you don't get bitten, Sam answered. I'm so doomed. So I kept dodging the snakes, but it didn't last for long and I was surrounded by them again, and this time no one saw it coming cause it bit me, and I let out the loudest scream ever. It was freaking painful and stinging, and I kept on screaming till the point where tears started slipping out. And one would have thought they'd have left after getting what they want. Damon came to meet me and carried me, but they still followed me. How the hell do we get rid of it? Vulcan asked, what do I do? She's getting. My whole body was hurting me. The venom of the creature was spreading and it just made me feel so weak, and I felt like I was going to die. I survived Lorna just to get killed by an unknown creature. It was somewhat funny. My whole energy was drained and it didn't help that my body was on fire. If I survived this, it'd be a miracle. There was a loud noise and I looked up to see a dragon. A full real dragon. This just completed the list of things I saw during this journey. I don't know what I hadn't seen now. The dragon started breathing out fire and everyone went out to take cover, and I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer. The last thing I remember was the dragon's fire destroying the creatures and Damon calling out my name before I blacked out. Chapter 27. Damon's POV. Her breathing was getting slower by the minute until she closed her eyes and I couldn't feel it anymore. I just went into panic mode, screaming her name. It made me remember what I had to go through before, and I don't want to go through it again. I couldn't lose someone that means this much to me again. I know that she wouldn't stay long, but I was hoping that we could stay together for a while. I wasn't prepared to lose her this early. It was just scary. What the hell are we going to do? She's not waking up, I shouted, causing them to run over. I felt like I might just break down any time soon. Come on, Lee. Wake up, Jonathan said, tapping her furiously. She's not waking, what do we do? Vulcan asked. We take her. I turned to look at the person who said that, and I think it was the people that came with the dragons. I actually didn't notice them. Is there any chance of her waking up? The chances are slim. It depends on how fast she responds to treatment. Okay. You may take her, I said, giving her to them. You may come with us. We got on the dragon and it flew to their abode, and immediately we got there they started to attend to her. I just hope she survives this, cause it's not easy to. Sam said. I could see how everyone was worried about her and how much they cared, and it made me realize that I haven't been there for her, and if she can make it out alive I want to make it up to her. To have her back. Be there for her and treat her like how a mate should be treated. She was in a room where they attended to her while we waited, in a place like a reception. I hate that I couldn't be there cause I wanted to know what they were doing. Everyone was seated and suddenly Vulcan stood up with much force and started looking around frantically. I actually don't know what was wrong with him. Maybe he was hungry and he wanted to eat a particular person, and then it hit me. It was his mate. He was intoxicated with the scent of his mate. A girl walked past and I heard him whisper mate as she walked by. She was average height, had brown hair and eyes, and she was really pretty. I watched as his eye was continuously changing color between red and black. What's wrong with you? Jonathan asked, and Vulcan didn't respond. I don't even want to wait to find out, he said, walking to sit at farthest part of the room. She still hasn't woken up. We're still trying to get the venom out. And the meantime you could wait in a more conducive place. Is there any chance that she can't survive it? There's a slim chance of her surviving it, she answered. What's your name? Vulcan asked. To my authentic 𝐿𝐢𝐳 heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐂𝐥𝐻𝐳, she answered, and they locked eyes, while Arabelle and Vulcan stood transfixed. Another girl came to tell us that they had successfully extracted the venom from her system and she had a great chance of surviving. Can I get to see her? I asked her, and she replied in the negation. After hours of staring into each other's eyes, something I don't quite understand why. What the hell is there that makes you stunned, or what are you supposed to find or realize when doing that? It's still a mystery to me. I left and he looked normal again. After a while she came back and they went out to talk. It wasn't until midnight that we could see her, although she was unconscious. Everyone stayed with her some hours before they moved to a room while I offered to stay with her. According to them, she can wake up any time soon, and when she does we'd leave tomorrow. I was already dozing when I heard someone call my name. I turned to look and it was Leona. I was so glad she's awake, although she looked really pale. Where are we? She asked, looking around the room. I explained to her about the whole thing that happened while she was unconscious. I just can't wait for all this to be over. To be finally free from law and day, she said with a sigh. Don't worry. It'll all be over soon, I said, and she just laughed. I actually don't know what to say when it comes to her. She was probably going to tell me something along the line of, that's what they all say, you're right, or any of her other comment, but she said nothing. None of us said a thing again, and I couldn't help but things were going to be from here. She had no place to stay and no one to turn to. I know she doesn't trust me, but I want to protect her. I can't bear thinking of her anywhere except beside me. I know she already rejected my offer, but asking again. Do you not trust me enough to live with me? Under normal circumstances, my home is yours, do you know? No, I don't. I don't trust you or anyone else, and besides, you've not done anything worthy of me trusting you. If I say her words, don't I'd be a stinking liar. I know she doesn't exactly trust me, but hearing her say it is just so painful. Isn't me being here not enough for her to trust me, even if it's 2%? Okay, that's fair. It's not easy for me to trust you or anyone else. To my authentic 𝐿𝐢𝐳 heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐂𝐥𝐻𝐳. I understand. There's no big deal. I could feel my wolf laughing at me. Liar. Liar. Pants on fire. You know, there's a thing called honesty. Even if I trust you, it's not going to change anything. I know that I'm not welcomed in your pack. Most especially by your girlfriend, and if she could make you take her side then, she can make you do anything, and that's just her alone. What about the rest? Which girlfriend? You're such 𝐿𝐤, I can't believe you couldn't wait for mate. Which guy waits for a girl? Certainly not me. It's funny that she remembers 𝐿𝐤 cause I haven't even thought of her since being with Leona. She just happens to occupy my thoughts non-stop. We handle that when the time comes. All I just want is to have you with me where I know you can be safe. You can keep me safe? She asked, laughing. It's like you don't understand. I'm not safe wherever I may be. No matter where I run to, she'd find me. My pack is one of the strongest and largest. She won't be able to, I said, and she laughed again. Her laughing while I spoke was annoying me a lot. You don't know who you're going to be dealing with. You're gonna put your members at stake. We'd handle it. If you're so bent on me staying with you, then I would, but I'd be prepared to leave any time soon because I know nowhere is safe for me. Not even with you. I don't know why she couldn't believe that I could protect her and is making my pack look weak and small, and I was so fed up. Fine. As long as I know that I have you around and I'm not constantly worrying about your whereabouts or welfare. I can't live like that, I said, then walked out of the room. Why can't she just understand that I'm after her safety? The honest POV. 𝐷𝐸𝐻 left and Vulcan walked in with a girl, and with the way they were looking at each other I assumed he had found his mate. I was so happy for him. He has finally found her, and that can live for eternity. 𝐷𝐸𝐻 and I didn't have that, and I fear that I'd be gone before I even get him to fall for me. 𝐸𝐻, I want you to meet my mate Arabella, Vulcan said, smiling widely like a schoolboy who got a kiss from his longtime crush. We said in unison and smiled. Vulcan didn't really stay long with us, giving us more time to get to know each other. It felt so nice being in a girl's company for a change. I can't even remember the last time I talked to one. So what are you? I know Vulcan's a vampire, but I don't know what you are. Oh, I'm a werewolf. What are you? Some say we're witches, but with the gift of vision and healing, and we are friends with dragons. How cool. I wish I had a gift like that. It would be so cool getting a vision anytime 𝐿𝐤 wants to hurt me and healing myself anytime she hurts me. I bet she'd be frustrated and give up. So have you and your mate mated yet? She asked, raising her eyebrows continuously while having an awkward smile on her face, and I couldn't help but laugh at the silly assumption and the way she did it. 𝐷𝐸𝐻, I mate. That's something I don't see happening anytime soon. Chapter 28. What if they just lay ambush and kill me before we reach your house? Nothing like that is going to happen, Lee. 𝐷𝐸𝐻 assured, almost laughing at my silly assumption. We were currently in 𝐷𝐸𝐻's territory after crossing the border into his pack. Sam and Jonathan were here with me while Vulcan had left with his mate back to their kingdom. A car arrived and we got in. To say I was nervous would be an understatement, and I don't know why I was worried. I mean, if they don't like me, what's the big deal? For your future pack to like you, everything's going to be fine, Lee. 𝐷𝐸𝐻 assured. He let go of one hand on the steering and placed it on top of mine and started rubbing it lightly. Stop worry, he encouraged, looking at me with a small smile. The tiny gesture seemed to help me hugely, and I decided not to bother anymore. If they don't like me, they just have to deal with it, since it's not my problem. I'm not here to please anyone, I'm just here because 𝐷𝐸𝐻 wants me to, and for now that's all that matters. We finally got to the gate and it was opened by one of the guards, and after seeing it was 𝐷𝐸𝐻, his face broke into a big smile, but when he saw me beside, his look just changed to disgust. Is it that I look bad, or it's just me being a rogue that just seems to bother them? What's she doing here, Alpha? He wondered. She's going to be living here as from now. 𝐷𝐸𝐻 replied with a small smile, turning to look at me. To say the guard was shocked. He was probably wondering what 𝐷𝐸𝐻 had to do with me. It won't take time before he realized, but I liked the way 𝐷𝐸𝐻 replied. Like he really wanted me to be with him. Like what it brought him a sense of pride and joy. We got to the house and he parked the car. Sam and Jonathan hastily got out and 𝐷𝐸𝐻 told someone to show them around, while I still sat down trying not to overthink, but this could be my future home if things with 𝐷𝐸𝐻 turn out. Hey, I heard 𝐷𝐸𝐻 say after opening the door. Hey, I said, and he held my hand. I wouldn't want you here if I know you wouldn't be safe here. I want you here, Lee, and I'll give a damn about what anyone has to say to that. What matters is here with me, he reassured. Thanks. for having me here and for everything. I appreciate it, and he hugged me. I'm merely doing my job as your mate. Ready to go in now. I stepped out of the car and he took my hand, leading me in. Thankfully we didn't see anyone, but I know that people were watching. You don't mind sharing a room with me, do you? He asked, do I mind? We've slept together before, but I don't know why it felt weird to now. Surely word will go out and people may get to know that we're mates, and I don't know if he wants that. I'm okay with it as long as you are. I replied, and he let out a small smile. I don't know why, but he's been letting out small smiles since today, and it was really nice. I'm just hoping that things are getting better between us, cause I want things to. I know I overreacted before and was being too difficult, and I want to change things now. I want to give us a chance. I am. You should go have your bath. He said, pushing me to the bathroom, meaning. I asked, and he laughed, you stink. He replied, and we both laughed, you mean we stink. I even think you're supposed to go in first. I told him, and all he could do was smirk. Since we equally stink, why don't we have our bath together? He said, and I laughed. Sorry dude, but that's not happening anytime soon. But it's going to happen sometime. Fine by me. He said, smiling. Why did I have to say anytime soon? You can wear my shirt for now till we get you some clothes. I hope you won't mind. He asked, and I was about to answer, but he thought it was better to do so. Oh wait. You wouldn't, since someone couldn't get over my scent and was putting my shirt on the very first day. 𝐷𝐸 said, and I couldn't help but laugh. I liked this part of him that was joking with me right now. Please don't flatter yourself. I said, and he just laughed. Believe me, there's no need to, but don't worry, I understand you. It's okay to be attracted to this awesomeness. He said, and it was my turn to laugh. Awesomeness? What's so awesome about you? I asked, and he held a hand to his heart in mock hurt, and it made me laugh. I really need to have that bath, cause I don't think I'd have it if we keep on talking. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐿𝐸𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Just tell me when you're done so I can give you the clothes, he said as I entered the bathroom. When I was done with washing my body, I came out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around my body. 𝐷𝐸 was previously doing something on his phone, but when I entered he looked up at me. It was pretty awkward. Me standing in front of him and a towel, and him looking at me as if he was daydreaming. I know I don't have anything on my face, so what's the excuse? I don't have any. There's no need. So you're admitting to staring at me with just a towel on. Please, you've got this misunderstood. I wasn't staring at you. I was staring at your hair. It's nice and it suits you. Well, thank you, but I'd prefer you not to stare at it again. Well, you can't control my eyes now, can you? Just get me the clothes. I requested, and he passed it to me. After I changed, 𝐷𝐸 went to have his bath, while I just sat thinking of everything. I don't know why I can't stop thinking about anything and everything. It was like I was always worried, and I don't want to live like this. I just don't want to worry myself. I want to live a carefree life, not a careful one. I just so hated my condition. 𝐷𝐸 came out of the bathroom in sweatpants and tee. It was sad that I couldn't see him in a towel. Our food should be ready by now. Let's go down. He said, I don't want to. Can we eat it here? If that's what you want. I'd have someone bring the food in also to Sam and Jonathan. I said with a small smile, you're welcome. He said, calling someone to bring the food over. I had to start wearing a beanie back so no one could see my hair. When the food was brought, the girl who brought it didn't even spare me a glance, and I preferred it that way. It's not like she can say anything about it. After eating, someone came to clear up, and it was just us. There was nothing for us to do. It was already dark and I was getting sleepy. All I wanted to do was just to sleep. It has been a long time since I slept on the bed, and I've missed how comfortable it was. I was lying on the bed. 𝐷𝐸 was beside me but not close to me. I wanted the warmth and safety I got from being in his arms, but I couldn't bring myself to move closer, and neither did he. I was waiting for him to, and I guess he was probably waiting for me too. He stretched his hands while yawning and placed his hands around me while moving closer, and it made me smile. Are you going to sleep? He asked. Yeah, I would. 𝐿𝐢𝐬𝐩𝐿, he called him. I want to work things out with you. We could start out as friends. Would you help me, cause I don't want to mess it up? Yes, I will, I answered, and he smiled. Not those small smiles he has been giving, but a full-blown smile, and it was breathtaking, and I couldn't help but smile. Thanks. I want things to work out between us, and I'm going to work on it. I'm sorry for how things started between us at first. I admit I was a little harsh, but you were not helping. You should have at least told me the truth. Okay, maybe I overreacted, but then it was expected with your attitude. Fine. It was all my fault. He accepted pulling me so that my head was on his chest. Obviously. Good night, Damon, I said, getting comfortable in my new position as he put his hands around my waist. Good night, mi reina, he said, giving me a kiss on the head, and I closed my eyes contentedly.